follow the teaching of everything that he's been taught. So it's been neat to see.
So I think that's great. We're trying to get some more stories. We'd love to hear some of the challenges that you kind of that you experience at Wheeler, and just give me a minute because I'm dealing with some technical difficulties here. Just give us a minute. So some stories don't mention any names.
No, I wouldn't. But one thing, if you go to wheelermission.org, you can actually see the website. And what's crazy is we have men that come, that come in from all over the United States, from all, the lower 48. We've never had anybody from Alaska or Hawaii yet. But it's crazy because once they reach, that point, and they have to, and when we have family members call us, we try to be patient, but it's hard to, because we don't want to talk to the families. We want to talk to the individual, because sometimes the families want it more than what the actual individual wants it. And they're trying to do all this on the side and then kind of force that guy into it. But one of probably the biggest challenge is just being away from their families. Some of the guys have families. Probably a third of our guys that come in from out of state. Then we have about a third to come in from just the mission and everything else, the homeless shelter. And then we have another third that are coming in from the jail systems, and just changing that mindset when they come in that, they're valuable. And just because they've been in jail doesn't mean that they're, horrible people. And one of the things we try to right off the bat is just let them know they're welcome. And sometimes they look at us like, no, you're just saying this stuff. You don't really mean it. And, but just getting someone to sit still is it's probably the biggest challenge we have. Is just, the program's about almost a total of 11 months, and it's completely free. So people can say, well, I can't afford addiction recovery. Well, you can't not afford it in one sense. And so that, and then the other challenge that we deal with a lot is our detaching from the family, the moms and the wives. And, this is not a long, 11 months is a long time, but basically after 6 months, they're ready to see family and everything else. So just kind of getting the families to detach. And sometimes just point blank, sometimes the families need the program as much as the guy, because they're actually just being codependent, and then they're dependent so much on the drama that they don't want, the guy to go, but they want to be a part of that. So.
Dennis, thank you for your patience. I want to let everybody know we are live now on Facebook. On YouTube, but you can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/CFC Worldwide. Or you can go to Willie Saunders, Willie Saunders Facebook, and you'll see the link to go to see us live. So we're talking about addiction ministries. Thank you for covering us there for now. We appreciate it, Dennis. And now I'm back to kind of work through some of the things that we really want to understand about your ministry and about what you're doing. So let's review. You're with Wheeler Ministries, but you've started your own ministry called Into the Storm. And I'd like to play a short video of the weekly podcast that you have. You're on the air every week at 3:30 to 3:35 right here in WPAT 9:30 a.m. We're on the air to over 30 million homes right now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to play with you a short video and talking about that weekly show. Hold on a second. Welcome to the weekly video podcast of Into the Storm Ministries, Finding Freedom in Christ for Those in Addiction, with founder Dennis Abrams in association with Wheeler Missions. Each week, Dennis will deliver a unique message for those struggling with any types of addiction to find true freedom in Christ. Just as the buffalo is the only animal that goes straight into a storm and does not avoid it, IntoTheStormMinistries.org will help addicted people through their own struggles to find freedom in Christ. Please welcome Dennis Abrams. Oh, so I want to highlight that phone number for everybody. It's 317-750-1471. And if you are struggling with any type of issue involved with addiction, you can call that number. What is that number again?
317-750-1471, and that phone actually rings next door. It's our intake office. What you would do is if someone, when they pick up the phone, they would have a conversation with the person needing help, kind of look at the addiction issues. It's for men primarily, and we also have a women's program. But what they'll do is, his name's Steve, he'll go through a screening interview, kind of screening to see if this is the best place for the person, make sure that we're qualified. I mean, we don't know everything as far as that, but God does. And so we can just screen the people, and then we work on, getting them transported here and everything else. So the program's all faith-based, so it's not necessarily going to be psychology and everything else. So.
All right, so it's 317-750-1471, 317-750-1471 if you are struggling with addiction. So walk me through the process. Let's say someone calls up, they're from New York. They say, Dennis, I have a real issue. Now, I don't know what kind of addictions are typical. What's the most typical issue you deal with, would you say?
The primary ones are drug and alcohol, but then the secondary ones, probably I'd say 80% with the guys is pornography, lust, sex, and not necessarily is it a common thing, but it's like every person that you meet, they're either going through addiction or they know of somebody in the family that is, if we're really being honest. So they'll do the phone screening. They would travel here to Indiana. We're in Bloomington, Indiana. We're central Indiana.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I want to take slowly. All right, so you call the intake. They'll do a slight interview with you on the phone, but it's going to take some physical time away from your life. So you need to travel to Indiana. What is your commitment? Do you have a weekend commitment, a 2-day commitment? What is the commitment that you're looking for?
So the commitment we're looking for is 8 months, and it's residential. So we have everything that the person would need, not that they want. We are a smoke-free program that deters a lot of people. We've been seeing in the past.
Well, a lot less people are smoking. A lot less people.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's one thing. But yeah, come to Indiana, do the interview, and then come to Indiana, and we're not looking at. You're not calling family every day or every week. You're writing letters. We're a writing program. And part of that is to really have the guys reflect on what their addictions and how it's impacted their life.
So you're looking at for an 8-month commitment, regardless of what your. Now, how can someone leave a job and do that? How is that possible?
Well, the crazy thing is with all the Affordable Care Act and everything, they can take medical leaves now with addiction. And what's great about our program, like I mentioned earlier, it's free. So insurance companies are not paying for it. Insurance companies will pay for it. But what we're seeing is once the money runs out, and a lot of times when the guys get here, Gary, they're to the point where they've pretty well lost everything. So we're not talking about, they may be already homeless. They may be, at another shelter and looking for a program.
All right, so you're a drug addict. You've lost almost everything in your life. Your family doesn't want anything to do with you. You may be involved with stealing. You're probably involved with lying and doing other illegal things. Your life has come to a crashing halt. This is an intervention. You need an 8-month intervention. So that's typical. Next week, you're gonna have a 5-minute segment on the Samson Society,
right, which
is an alternative for those addicted to pornography. I'm going to let you talk about that. I'm going to give you my understanding. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But what I like about it, it's a initiative that you have to initiate yourself if you're struggling. They're not going to chase after you. They're not going to beg you. It's your responsibility. And if you don't take the responsibility, then you're back where you were. But if you take up the charge, so to speak, if you take up that cross, so to speak, and you say you want to be healed, then there is an alternative for pornography, which allows you to get in touch with a community of people. They get you in touch with a coach, a mentor. They call it something weird. What do they call it?
Silas.
And what does that mean, the Silas?
So a Silas is just somebody that you connect with either daily or weekly during your struggle, and then times when you're really tempted. So it's a brother. It's somebody that you can say maybe things you can't say to your wife yet, or things you can't say to your church group yet. But it's a safe, non-judgmental relationship. So
let's say that's my issue. I call up and I have a job. I can't leave my job for 6 weeks. I have a family, but this is my issue. It's not drugs and alcohol, which is a little bit different. Totally different. I'm not going to say more severe, but it's just a different track. It's a very different issue. Does your ministry at that point them to the Samson Society?
yeah, we very much could. And what we do is give them the website. We have a few guys that have been through the program that are connected. We've been giving it out here, to churches, and you go to samsonsociety.com and you've got the whole thing there. But as you look through there, there's a tab on meetings. And what Gary was talking about just a second ago is there's weekly meetings. There's actually almost hourly meetings, 24 hours a day all over the world, because guys will be having meetings. And you may be in a meeting with somebody in China or Bulgaria or Czech Republic, along with people from Illinois or New York or New Jersey. So once you go there, the Get Started tab, you basically
here it is.
yeah.
Now, where's the Get Started tab?
If you click on My Meetings.
Okay, so you go to My Meetings. So
Yeah.
go to Samson Society. You can log in. You go to My Meetings, and you can go in there, right?
Yeah, and then if you look at the main page there, it says find a meeting, and what they're going to do is it's going to take you
Where's
to
it find? Where's it say find a meeting?
right below the text there of Samson Society.
Oh yeah. There you go. So here is find a meeting.
And so what you'll do is you click that, and you have to watch the video here. It kind of gives you an idea, and then you can kind of search.
Wow, look at all these meetings. Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, 3 and Monday, 2 and so there's meetings all over the place.
All over the place, yeah. And so you have to attend a newcomer meeting first, and it's just new guys that are to the ministry and everything. You set through that meeting, and then basically you're given a calendar, a bigger calendar yet than that, to pick meetings that you need to fit around your schedule. And sometimes, just to be blunt, sometimes you're in a jam, and instead of sitting or going into lusting and everything else and all the acting out, you go to a meeting. And so it's been beneficial for myself, and it's been beneficial for the guys that I'm lucky enough to be around.
So what I like is that it's really simple. It's one phone number, right?
It's just that one website, yeah, and you just click on find a meeting and fill in that kind of welcome page. And there's a guy named Sean. Sean will reach out to you via email and say, hey, when are you free? And you'll do your meeting, and then you're in the group. There's no charge, there's no fees, there's no.
Wow. So both of these are me. So let me just review for everybody. We're talking about if you have an issue with drugs, alcohol, pornography, is there anything else? I can't think of anything else.
No, that's the major ones that we deal with.
All right. But usually with drugs and alcohol, you've hit a crashing start. So a crashing halt to your life. So you need to make a 8-month commitment to get rehab, to get out of it. However, if you're struggling with pornography, you may be, I guess the term is functioning. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Okay, you're functioning, but you're still addicted. So if that's the case, then what you do is you still call this number 317-750-1471, and they will refer, and then Into the Storm Ministries will refer you to the Samson Society. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about Into the Storm. I want to show the I want to show the website here. Here's the Into the Storm Ministry. I want to explain to everybody why they talk about the buffalo. And Dennis explained this to me. I thought it was very, very interesting. The buffalo is kind of their icon, their logo. And the reason for that is because the buffalo is the only animal that when there's a storm, almost all animals run away from the storm to try to get away from it. However, the tough buffalo will go into the storm, and it's kind of like on the ocean when you go into the storm to get through it quicker. That's what they do. So Into the Storm Ministries, with your addiction, you find freedom in Christ with those who are addicted by going into the storm. So that's what he's doing. He's talking about their story, and it's about people who, what percentage of people would you say are functioning alcoholics or functioning drug addicts?
alcoholics, you could probably get a higher percent, but the functioning drug addicts, it's low because of the cocktail that people are mixing and buying and everything else. And with fentanyl being so prevalent in so many of these drugs right now, the functioning alcoholic, it probably would be, I'd say out of say we have 40 guys here, I'd say 20 of them could have been functioning alcoholics for decades. But as far as the drug addict and the intravenous user, it's only a few years or months, because it's horrible, the stuff that they're putting in their bodies.
Well, we know that people are dying. A lot of people are dying, and really the drug companies are doing nothing. The government's doing nothing about it. The drugs are on the street. They're easy to get. And unfortunately, let's be honest, if you don't go to Into the Storm Ministries for intervention for this 8-month program, you could be dead in 8 months. That's very true. Yes. Absolutely. And I'm sure you've had instances where people say, well, I can't do it. And unfortunately, they overdose and die. So that's pretty dire. If you think you're a functioning drug addict, that is a lie. Okay, that's what Dennis is telling us right now. That is a lie. No such thing as a functioning drug addict. You need help. So please give us a call, 317-750-1471 for that situation dealing with drugs. Now, let's talk about a functioning alcoholic. You said there's a higher percentage of functioning alcoholics. Thank you for that. And I had a good friend of mine, my first boss when I worked out of college. He took me to one of his meetings, and he's been sober for 40 years. He went to an AAA meeting, and it just blew my mind. The things that people were going to work with a quart of gin under their seat, and they would drink a quart of gin on the way to work. And in their mind, that's functioning. But in the real world, it's not. You're not really functioning. You're focusing for a while, but you're not 100%, and you're not enjoying your life. So, okay, if you think you're a functioning alcoholic, what would you say to someone who thinks they're a functioning alcoholic, Dennis?
They're just lying to themselves. I mean, we had a guy, you talked about a quart. We had a guy a while back said, I cannot believe how much I deceived myself. I was drinking a gallon of vodka a day. And if I didn't have the gallon by the end of the day, I'd be sick. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world are you not sick by just drinking a gallon of vodka a day? But he used that term functioning alcoholic. And I said, what do you mean by functioning? Well, I went to work and everything else. I said, but were you participating in life? Were you participating with your family? Because most of the guys and our listeners are going to say this. Yeah, I'm a functioning alcoholic. but they have no relationship with their families or nothing because they're cut off, because they're isolated. So,
Okay, so they define functioning as they go to work and that's it.
Yep. Yep.
Work is not functioning. Your family is more important than work. Your children, if you have children, your wife, your special others, your friends, you're not functioning in life. You're just functioning at work. And you're taking every penny. Is it true that they almost take every penny and dump it into their addiction?
Oh, absolutely. We actually hired a guy a while back, and not giving names or nothing, but I hired him as a food director here at camp. And he wanted to borrow $40 off me. And I said, you just got paid. I'm not giving you $40. And then I got worried about it. We got thinking about it. And so we talked to him, and he'd been drinking again. And I said, how are you needing to ask for money? And he's like, because I'm broke. And I said, how much do you spend on alcohol a week? All my check. So, he was able to live in a rent-free area, through the ministry and stuff, and took advantage of that. And, it creeped up on him and it got him. And, he's getting help. He's back with us in the program, but it's like, he was completely broke because he couldn't even go into town and buy McDonald's.
How many days after that he got paid?
Oh, he'd be done with his check usually 2 days after he got it.
And he was paid every 2 weeks or every week?
But he would go and get enough supply for that 2 weeks that he knew he would drink or have to drink. And that's the key there is functioning alcoholics have a limit that they know they have to fulfill, or they have to drink each day to feel like they're functioning. It's not just, I'm going to have 2 beers. It's got to be, I'm having a 24-pack or something.
We got about 45 seconds left. Dennis, time always goes fast. I appreciate you coming with us. I just want to remind everybody, if you have an addiction in alcohol or drugs or pornography, there is hope through Christ with Into the Storm Ministries and also Samson Society. 317-750-1471, 317-750-1471. And please join us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday here. We're on the air at 3:00. We got 5 seconds. Say goodbye. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you all, and God bless.